All right, we're good. Any spiritual thoughts?
I do not have one.
I'll share one only because it's been recent. I've shared it like the last couple times with my just people I've been just like trying to help, if you will.
Yeah.
It's Second Nephi, chapter 32, verses 8 and 9. I'm just going to share verse 8. It's just like, when we find ourselves having sinned or done anything wrong, the adversary wants us to feed on that and to turn ourselves away from our Heavenly Father. And this is just pertaining to prayer. And it says, "And now, my beloved brethren, I perceive that you ponder still in your hearts, and it grieveth me that I must speak concerning this thing. For if ye would hearken unto the Spirit, which teacheth a man to pray, ye would know that ye must pray. For the evil spirit teacheth not a man to pray, but teacheth him that he must not pray." And it was interesting. I know when I was working through my struggles, I had a bishop one time who stressed to me, Ben, for just as important as it is to have a testimony of your Savior, it is also beneficial to have a testimony of the adversary, because there truly is opposition in all things. And for just as hard as your Heavenly Father is trying to help you to return home to Him, the adversary is trying just as hard to get you to go down his path. And so what was interesting is, so often we find ourselves guilty of like laying in bed late at night thinking, I'm just tired, I'm not going to say my prayers. But really, that's the adversary sitting on our shoulder whispering, saying, you're too tired, go to bed. And it's important we recognize those subtleties, knowing that that's him tempting us. And so, anyway, I just have had people come into my life recently who are facing struggles, and I can relate. And knowing that when you're in those moments, you're embarrassed and ashamed, and you don't want to turn to your Heavenly Father. But those are the times when He wants to hear from you more than ever. And it's the adversary who makes you have those feelings of guilt and embarrassment and tries to keep you from, facing a path that will help you heal and bring love and happiness back into your life.
That's good. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is true. He does not want us to pray. He hits us with that guilt and stuff, and that's guilt really does come from the adversary.
Yeah.
Because humility, if we're humble, we're willing to go to the Lord and say, hey, I need help. I can't handle this by myself. I can't do that.
I like how you said it's equally as important to have a testimony in the adversary. That's true. I mean, sometimes it's really good to have those, to feel that remorse and that horrible feeling, because I don't know, to me it just makes the atonement that much more real in my life. When you use the atonement and to have that removed. So I really like that thought. Thanks, man.
Yeah. All right, let's get underway. So it says, vote individually. Should David Vivero raise money now and vote yes or no? I said no, only because I felt like what they're trying to accomplish now, they're in a position to do. I don't see the reason for bringing other potential owners in equity aboard. I think they can do it on their own, and I think they have the focus and direction they need to do so moving forward.
Yeah. I also said no for a couple different reasons as well. First, I think that they need to figure out what their sales are before they keep blowing through other people's money. Another reason to hold off, I think that if they do their evaluation now, their evaluation would be horrible. So I think it would be better if they increase their sales, and so they could get a better evaluation down the road. Because investors, I mean, they're all about numbers. They want to know what the numbers are and how they're going to be profitable. Yeah, those are the main reasons. And kind of echoing what you said, I mean, they can already do it themselves. Like they're not desperate at this time, I don't think. So so I said no.
How about you, Michael?
Yeah, I actually went the other way
Okay.
on it, and now you're always more trying to avoid risk and all that stuff. But I look at it like a lever. If you have a system that's working, which is what this customer lifetime value is showing, and in his video he said that the more you have, if customer acquisition cost is less than customer lifetime value, then you have good business. And the wider that spread is, the better it is. And they're making money, they're making revenue. It seems like that number is farther apart. I'm still calculating it, but it seems like they're at the point now where they need to use that lever and just multiply. And since they're going into, they've pulled the trigger to go into Chicago, New York, and South Florida. And they're talking about their employees, and they only have 3 salespeople. I really think they need to kick up their game on salespeople. I can't imagine. I mean, those are huge cities, and they're only having 1 salesperson for each one. Have you ever been in New York? Every one of those skyscrapers is a rental property. So I just can't imagine you even making a dent if you only have 1 person calling in each one of those cities. So yeah, so I think it's time for them to use that lever and grow. And it seems like they got people willing to throw money at them, that much effort. So it seems like those angels and VCs are in agreement.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was one of the things I considered too. I think that if they did accept the money, it's exactly what you said. They would need to have a detailed plan exactly what they're going to do with that money, because something that happens when you get a lot of money, you tend to spend a lot of money.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So you need to make sure that you have a specific game plan, exactly what you're going to do with it. So you don't just, I don't know. That was one of my weighted factors. So Ben, what were you saying?
Okay.
You definitely have to have a plan. If you just get the money, you're going to go off and buy the Mercedes.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So it's directing me to read this little passage from the reading. It says it's found on like the middle of page 7. It says, I tried to raise funds from Sandhill Road venture capitalists in October and November. They liked our team and our idea, but they told me to come back when I had proved the model in more than 1 city, demonstrated lifetime customer value well in excess of average customer acquisition cost, and had reliable data on my sales cycle and conversion funnel. I'm getting feedback on someone.
My papers are on the desk. Sorry about that.
No, I mean, I was hearing my voice come back.
Oh,
I got headphones in.
I'm hearing something.
Let's see, Michael, I have you muted for just a second. I'm just trying to see if it's on. Yeah, somehow I think it's coming through yours. So Michael,
I'm not getting any reverb now from you.
Okay. So yeah, Michael, just when we go to talk, or when you go to talk, unmute that. So anyway, I'll read that one more time too. So it just says, I tried to raise funds from Sandhill Road venture capitalists in October and November. They liked our team and our idea, but they told me to come back when I had proved the model in more than 1 city, demonstrated lifetime customer value well in excess of average customer acquisition costs, and had reliable data on my sales cycle and conversion funnel. And so then the next question is, why do investors care about customer lifetime value, customer acquisition cost, and sales conversion data?
So that for me, I feel like this is a pretty easy question. I mean, investors, they have to see how profitable your company is, and they want to see how long those customers are going to be using the product. They want to know how many customers you have and how long they're going to be there. Investors, they're investing their money, I mean, for a purpose, because they want to get money back. So they're not going to invest in something that, it's just a quick phase, or just so they want to see the long-term results from it, and if they can't see it being profitable, they're not going to invest their own money. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, I agree too. I look at how, is it a product or service that it's a one-time product or service, or is it something that's going to be repeated? I look at like the iPhone, for example, and how universal that is. And something that's interesting about it is there's like a lot of people who find it, for the most part, are like lifetime supporters of it. They would do one of two things. Either they're the kind of people who they upgrade every single time there's an update, new product, which those guys are obviously your real high value customers who continue to get the new stuff. But then there's also those who, they had the iPhone 4 and they held on to it till that thing finally died by the time iPhone 6 or 7 rolled out. So it's just like, they don't update as frequently, but they're not leaving, they're sticking around. And so essentially it's just like, we don't have to go advertise all that much because, we're making lots of money doing what we're doing.
Right after this is over. Oh yeah, I'll be there.
If anything, we might get lucky and do minimal advertising and gain some more customers and allow ourselves to grow. But other than that, what they're doing right now is a successful business model. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. Go ahead, Michael.
When I did the formula that he gave us for lifetime value of the customers, I'm coming up with $868.42.
Okay, I can show you exactly what I did.
Please do. My number is astronomical right now.
Okay. Let me share my screen. All right. Like 10 things pulled up. Okay. Can you guys see this all right? Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's page 9 that had all this information. So
yeah.
Page 10. Yeah. Excuse me. So what the formula is, you can see right down here. It's the average lifetime in years times profit minus acquisition cost. So what I needed to do, I needed to first get the average acquisition cost that was given. But as for the average customer profit per year, so I took the $440 and then that was per month, and then I multiplied that by 12. So that gave us the yearly average customer profit. And then for the customer churn rate, this is what I was having real problems with trying to find. And then I found that the formula was actually pretty easy. The average lifetime is just 1 divided by the churn rate, and that was given. So that gives us 38%. Sorry, and then this was the lifetime, the formula I was talking about. So the number I got, so 1 divided by that churn rate was this 2.6 whatever. And then I just plugged in this formula down here, and that's how I came up with the CLV. The simple CLV was the 11,604.
Okay.
There's some Harvard professor that was explaining how to do it, but yeah, that's just what I did.
All right. So can you bring it back up? I'm still kind of.
Yeah. Sorry. I didn't know.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't catch the. You're right. The revenue would be 440 times 12. So I don't have that in my formula. I need to go back and change that. And then what did you average lifetime in year? How did you come up with that?
So this right here was the churn rate that it gave you, the 38%, and to find the average lifetime, that's 1 divided by that 38%.
Okay.
gave me the
Okay.
2.6 long number.
Okay. All right. Well, if that is the case, and it's 11,604, and their average cost to acquire a new customer is 2,200, that's a huge spread. So I'm even more in favor of growing the sales team and getting more, because he had already identified his funnel and how many contacts they need to make to gain 2 customers. You know, after they met with the one that you just read there, where he said go back and identify your funnel, do all that stuff, and he did. So it looked like he has to go through 100 contacts to get 2 customers. So the more contacts he's making, the more money he's going to make. And with such a big spread, between almost $2,300 to $11,000, that would get him to profitability a lot sooner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's the thing with sales. With the subscription, your cost is spent in acquiring them up front, but you're not getting paid till down the road. So the more people they get into that, contributing to that, the sooner they'll break even.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Ben, what are you up to?
I'm trying to correct my spreadsheet right now. Your guys is I don't know, like somehow I didn't see the formula the same way, because I mean I have to like go back and look at his video. I thought when I look at the CLV, it was simply revenue times gross margin divided by churn rate.
Yeah, and that's what I first put in.
So like the average lifetime and all that kind of stuff, I don't recognize that.
Mm-hmm. This is the formula that I pulled out offline.
Okay, so it's not the one that he provided in the video.
No, nope.
No, it's not. But I think Ben is right. What did you end up getting on yours?
Well, okay, so for what I did,
I'll stop sharing if you can share your screen.
Sure. All right.
I'm back.
All right. Can you see mine okay then?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. So I'm gonna back this up again too then. Okay. So yeah, when I did customer lifetime value, I did so this is all the same numbers that are found on, I think, top of page 10.
Mm-hmm.
Says the revenue's 40,000, gross margin 75%, churn rate 38%. And when you look at my formula here, I got C4 times C5, which is the revenue times gross margin, and then divided by the churn rate. And so my value is 78,947.
Yeah, I think where your mistake is the 440, the 40,000, because that's monthly revenue that's all the customers bring in 40,000 in revenue, and we're just trying to find what the average lifetime per customer is right now. So you need to go with the 440 at the top in that same paragraph. It says 440 of monthly revenue.
Multiply that by 12.
I totally misread that, if that's what that says.
5 agents per office. It says the customers averaged 5 agents per office and about 440 of monthly revenue. And then and that's what I put in. But
I swear to you, I read rent.
Okay.
So okay.
That's where I screwed up. And then Tyler pointed out that no, we're talking revenues, we're talking annual, because that's what your churn rate's based off of. So yeah, we need to times it by 12. So that's where I screwed up.
This times 12?
440 times 12, because that would be your annual revenue for that customer. Which your churn rate
5,280.
Yeah. So your churn rate is based off of annual. So yeah, I'm gonna redo mine right now. So equals.
Okay, so my CLV is 10,421.
Yeah, mine was slightly above that. Mine was just a lot 11,600.
Gotcha.
Definitely closer.
So, and according to the rule that they say, you want your customer acquisition cost to be less than your CLV.
And the wider the distance, the better.
What's that?
The wider the spread on that,
Yeah,
the better.
the better.
He said so. Yeah.
Well, they said like essentially it's better, but you could have a small margin and that's still good. And that's
well, anything that's where it's less than wherever your customer acquisition cost is less than that, that means you're making profit.
Right.
So
okay.
I am still. So what do you got, Tyler? Where are you coming at? You're coming at
11,604.
11,604, and you're coming at 10,421, Tyler, and I'm at 10,421.05. Okay, so where are we still getting the? Where am I still having the discrepancy with you, Tyler? On the churn rate into 1, maybe that's it.
Yeah, I just the video I watched said that I needed to find the average lifetime, calculate it, and how I did that was he just said to divide the customer churn rate by 1, so 1 over 38%, and that's how I got the 2.631 for the average lifetime.
All right, I'm gonna look up customer lifetime value and see what other formulas come in, because in his video he just said churn rate. He didn't say anything about dividing it by 1. He just said your churn rate's 38%.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna Google that and see what comes up. What do you think?
He did say it was a really simple formula, and there are more complex ones. But for the sake of the case, he's like, this should do fine for the case.
Just use this one.
So
I'm totally fine just using Ben's if we just want to.
No, it's fine. I mean, the fact that you use something different, honestly, it doesn't change very much. It still proves the fact that you're showing they're currently in the green. So.
Excuse me. Okay.
Customer lifetime value formula. Oh, there's even a customer calculator. What's the calculator come to?
Honestly, after this, I feel like there's really nothing more to the discussion. Or very little.
No, there really wasn't much in it today.
The next question is, how well is the sale funnel at RentJuice working? What can you think of to improve it? How can you reduce the customer acquisition cost?
Well, I think.
Well, I wonder how much of that. Go ahead.
No, Mike. Sorry, you go ahead.
I wonder how much of that cost is. It talked about there being a high turnover with the salesman. So I wonder how much of that customer acquisition cost is coming from they're having to retrain their salesmen and things like that. So I think they need to take steps to make sure their salesmen are staying around.
That was the point that I was going to bring up. I think that they need, their sales. That's where they're really lacking. So they got to get, I don't know, better quality. It didn't talk about like the evangelist something. Anyway, I just think that the quality of sales needs to go up. So.
How do you do that then without raising the cost? Or how would that be more affordable in an effort to drop the cost of getting a new customer?
No, I guess it really doesn't.
Because I'm thinking new team, new training, more money, more motivation, paying more, which all of that stuff. Therefore, like for example, if you consider it cost me $10,000 to get 5 people, that means I averaged $2,000 a piece. Well, now I'm going to retrain, possibly pay more, and it's like now I'm paying, 1,500 or 15,000 for the same 5 people, and it costs, $3,000 per customer. However, on the flip side, though, let's say you paid 15,000, better team, but now you're getting 16 or 17 people instead of 5, and now your customer acquisition cost is like 1,000, which you paid more, got more, and actually saved money. So that's one way of considering, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Still looking for a formula here. The one that just came up actually has you subtracting in it. So he's right about there being a lot of different formulas. Okay, there we are. Monthly churn.
What do they mean when they say how well is the sale funnel?
Oh. I'll pull it up in a second. Hey, on a churn rate, I'm looking in Wikipedia because they know all. If you do 1 minus the churn rate, that becomes the retention rate.
Okay,
Tyler.
and I was looking for the average lifetime. So that was what it called for, and the formula that I did was the average lifetime, which was just the 1 divided by the churn rate.
Okay. So yeah, so they're calling that retention rate, and so, but it seems like our numbers are so close, and it really does seem like there are a lot of different formulas for getting this. So the one on Wikipedia,
Simple CLV, whatever that is. That was the first one I saw, so I did that formula.
oh, and you know what? On the they're actually doing the average. Oh, because it's a monthly churn rate. Okay, interesting. So they are doing 100. So the revenue, they're not timesing it by 12 either. It's for example, $100 average monthly revenue spent times 25% margin divided by 5% monthly churn rate.
Yeah. Jeez.
Well, that makes more sense. What's interesting then their CLV drops below the acquisition cost. That would make a lot more sense for the need to bring about some change. Because otherwise they're soaring, and why would there be any real need for change? But in this case here, it shows, it costs more to keep, like we're losing more people, we're having to buy more, we're not saving money like we could. And so, and then that kind of applies more, because it asks, what can you do to improve it? How can you reduce your cost of acquisition or your customer acquisition costs?
Yeah.
Hey guys, if I disappear randomly, I didn't ditch you. My computer's at 5%. My charge is at my in-laws, so
Okay.
I'm not leaving you guys. I promise.
All right.
Okay, then I'm going to skip real quick just to the last question. So hopefully, Tyler, you can put your 2 cents in.
Okay.
How should Vivero respond to the new competition? List all options you can think of. List pros and cons of each option. As a group, you must decide on a course of action.
Honestly, this one, I don't know. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say because my input, I don't know. Yeah.
What's the question again, Tyler?
Sure. How should Vivero respond to the new competition? List all the options you can think of. List pros and cons of each option. As a group, you must decide on a course of action.
I didn't see any competition. What competition did you have that was new?
Yeah, it's the one that's from Boston. They mentioned it a couple times.
What was their difference? I remember him talking about social media and something like that, but
so Boston, they're targeting the landlords, whereas RentJuice is targeting the customers. And so they're like, well, what can we do to not feel that threat? And that's where that I feel is the bigger issue pertaining to whether or not to raise more money or not to try to like give a push to be able to compete with it. However, they talk about having the cash on hand they may not need for extra money, which you then see that venture capitalists are asking the questions of like, well, hey, how well is your business model working? What's your customer retention rate like? To where, you know, is it worth us putting our money into your business? Does it show the growth? And then, you know, here comes this company from Boston and they're posing some threats. They talk about having a RentJuice real-time thing that they're working on that they're hoping to promote pretty soon. And so the question is, you know, do we put that promotion on hold and pursue more fundraising, or do we not worry about fundraising and continue to focus on implementing the RentJuice real time? And I mean, again, I see that they have the money on hand. I don't see a need for raising more capital. It's an option if they need to. I just feel they have enough. Oh, excuse me. To do what they need to right now. And I think it'd be wise to finish implementing the real time, because that's going to influence the element, and because they're already established in the area, it's likely that it'll catch because they're more, you know, known for it. There's always that cost of change, and this would, you know, help eliminate that if they implement a similar tool that does the same job.
Okay. I don't disagree with you on that. I'm still stuck on these numbers. I'm sorry. My brain's trying to rack these out. It's not making sense to me.
I would just use the simple formula.
Well, the thing is, if they're losing that much money, they need to shut down. That's what I'm having a problem with this formula on.
No, I don't think it's necessarily losing money. I just don't think they're saving money.
Well, if lifetime value is, we're saying their lifetime value is only $800, and it's costing you $2,000 to get that customer, it's costing them $1,600 to get every customer they're getting. That doesn't make sense. I mean, they'd be burning through cash way faster. So that's what, I mean, if that's the case, they need to shut down right now, in my opinion. So I'm having trouble with the formula, but I'm still assuming, because from the video he was talking about how they're a good sales team, they're doing well and all that. So I'm having to assume that we got something wrong with our formula, and you look at that more. But going in with what you're talking about, Ben, yeah, I think he's already got that program up and running. He needs to get that. He said he has it all ready to go. It just needs to launch. I think he needs to launch it. You know, that's going to help with his marketing. I think part of the way to fix that funnel right now, they're just cold calling, and we're all return missionaries. We know how tracting and knocking on doors went. Not as much success as if they're coming to you. You know, it's like we got the referrals with the Book of Mormon videos or whatever else. So I would say get that going, so you get that referral system going, and start building a brand. You know, you're getting your brand out there and things. So I agree with you on that one.
I'm down to 1%. It just popped up.
We'll miss you. Oh, there he goes.
Tyler, do you have your screen as dark as it'll go?
He just went. He just left.
Oh, goodbye, Tyler.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So,
Bummer.
yeah. So, anyways, that's what I'm thinking. I agree with you on that. Let's get the advertising going. Maybe you can adjust the funnel that way. There was
Interesting.
another way I thought. There was another way I thought of defining the funnel. I'm trying to remember what it was. I don't know. Oh, you know what I think where we might have I think I might see the problem?
I'm listening.
When I look at that formula,
Uh-huh.
he calls it no, he called it gross margin.
Yeah.
He calls it gross margin. On the Wikipedia, they just call it margin. So I was wondering if there's a difference between gross margin and margin.
I don't know. I mean, I think you're right, though. I think essentially they're losing money, and maybe they don't even realize it.
Yeah, but I wouldn't see this other guy jumping in with $5 million if he thought they were losing money. I mean, he's like anxious to go in there. He's seeing something.
Well,
I'm thinking Ben's number seems more in line with where I'd expect it to be. The Ben, because doing it Ben's way, we were up at around $10,000-$11,000 for the lifetime value of a customer.
Right, but I had that wrong.
Yeah, and I did too. But it seems go ahead.
When I changed it, well, the reason it was so high though is because I gave it a revenue that was 12 times higher than it actually is. I said they were making a year's worth, but I was using the monthly churn rate and the monthly gross margin compared to, so I had 12 times its value, and that's how I was getting up to like $10,000. But when I did strictly monthly, then I came down to 868.
No. I found it. I figured it out. We're doing 440 monthly. We were right when we went and switched it. It's 440 of monthly revenue.
Okay.
Annual, and then it's annual customer churn average. You're taking monthly and annual. We're mixing them. We either need to find the monthly churn rate. We either need to take that 38% divided by 12, or we need to times the 440 in the same time frame. That's where we're screwing. That's where it is.
Okay. All right. So all right. So it says annual churn rate.
It says annual churn rate on page 10.
Okay.
38%. So we need to go back to revenue being times 12.
Okay. So I have that back. So, and that puts our customer lifetime value back to 10,421, which supports your theory. Why is an investor so eager to get back on board?
Yeah, and they weren't burning through cash that fast. I mean, if they had that many customers and they were losing $1,600 per customer, and
they wouldn't have that huge reserve anymore.
No, they at $1,600 of loss per customer, they'd have blown through that in 2 months.
Yeah. So yeah,
because they had hundreds of customers put in. Okay, monthly revenue is 440. Then we'll go up here and we'll times this by 12. Okay, it's all in the wording.
Yep.
All in the details.
They always try to catch you with one of those.
They do. Okay, so now they're 10,421, and so you're talking a difference of
8,000 ish.
$8,000. Yeah, which is huge. So every customer they're adding $8,000 to their bottom line over the next
year.
Next year. Yeah. So, yeah. So I'm in favor of expanding. Take the loan, expand, get that real, what was it called? RentJuice Real or whatever. Get that up and going.
Well,
hire more salespeople.
That was the main thing. It's essentially at the time being, it's one or the other. it was, do I stop pushing forward on real time and spend the next month financing, or do I disregard the financing and keep moving forward with the real time?
Now, was it going to be that big of a distraction to finance? Because before, I mean, when you go on finance, you're out pounding the pavement, all that stuff, and these people are coming to him. He just basically has to write up the terms, doesn't he? Well, you know, this is another instance of him. He was saying early on that he had a problem with doing everything himself, and maybe that's the whole problem. He doesn't need to be thinking it's either sales or this. He needs to think, I'm CEO. Let's get this. Here's the salespeople. You guys go do sales, and I'll go play CEO and raise funds.
Right. That's true. That's certainly a way of looking at it.
Because it mentioned it before, that the Z guy, whatever his name was, the guy that goes by the name Z, had jumped his case saying, why are you doing all this stuff? And I actually told him to go take a day off a few times, and I told him to hire people, and he was glad he did each time. So, you know, they usually throw those little items in there. So I'm thinking that would be the answer. Or that'd be my answer.
Sure.
All right. Anything else we need to go over then?
I'm just trying to think of, in theory, the approach to the competition. It's like, does that competition really pose a threat?
I was thinking that too.
If you're making that kind of money, like, fine, take a small loss. You're still in the green, which then it's interesting. I would be understanding of your position to raise more money, to where it's just like, you know what, forget it. We'll take care of the competition later. Right here, right now, we have a good business. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, that guy is only in Boston, and RentJuice is already moving forward with going into New York, Florida, and Chicago.
Right.
So yeah, why not ignore it and just get the sales going? You'll be so far ahead revenue wise.
It's like interesting. I couldn't tell.
What are you thinking?
I'm reading apart from the case. This is kind of interesting. This is right at the very end of the written part, before all the
Exhibits?
Yeah. So this is on page 11. I'm reading the quotation part, talking about Z, and he shared his perspective on the company's position. He said, should David have launched the landlord application sooner? Maybe, but not necessarily with the resources we had. Maybe it's the CFO in me, but I'd rather have a business that's generating revenue with profitable unit economics first, and then go after viral network effects. A lot of companies that go viral never figure out how to monetize. The holy grail of Silicon Valley venture capitalists today is a sales team executing on a customer acquisition model with a high lifetime value. The equation is fundable. Then the question is $5 million the right number? Is it too much or too little? Taking on that much money is a big responsibility. If we take it, I want to make sure that we have a very measured plan to spend it, so that we don't get too big too fast without revenue to support our cost base. Raising too much money too soon has killed a lot of companies. It's easy to start spending, but it's really hard to stop. So
That's right.
Interesting.
I agree with that. As far as the, in Silicon Valley, to find somebody that actually has a sales team that's actually making money. I mean, that took Facebook and Google forever to find out how to do that. Now they have, and they're hugely successful. But yeah, if you have that model working, leverage it. But yeah, do it at the right pace. And that's the other point. How much, yeah, they beat you to it with the social networking in Boston, but are they generating any revenue? It doesn't
Yeah,
say
so it's
anything
like
about
interesting.
that.
It's almost like there's two problems, but they're not even connected.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because now it just goes back to the very simple question, do you change something that's not broke? They have a system that's working and it's paying off. Do they need to grow more? They, I value Z's opinion, and he makes it clear: disregard Boston and focus on your game. Play your game. Your game is to make money, and you're doing that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's an interesting point, and I respect that. It does sound like he might lean towards taking the money, but then just making sure it's managed appropriately. I think that's a huge point to stress.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless the social media aspect is going to widen the funnel so that instead of getting two contracts out of every 100 calls, if they could double that and get 4 out of every 100, then yeah, it makes sense to go ahead and do the social media. If that's going to contribute to that, then do the social media thing. But I mean, if you just need salesmen to be out there and just getting 100 contacts per day, I mean, you just made 16 grand per salesman every day.
Right. And then that's where it's like, if we did do the financing, then you could help maybe acquire more salesmen sooner, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I agree with that. Think we're good for a summary then?
I think so.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do it.
Okay.
So our summary in regards to RentJuice is that we feel we value Z's opinion in the essence that the purpose of this company is to make money. Pursuing social networking, that can be put on hold for now. And that is in response to the competition coming from Boston. They're in the business of making money, and it's important that they continue to do that and play their game. Their game is what's got them this far. They can adjust, but there's no reason to make a vital change right now. In addition to that, comes the question of accepting the venture capitalist offer of receiving $5 million in another finance opportunity. It talks about this could take weeks to a month. I also feel they're in a more unique situation because they're being approached, they're not seeking. So I think it could actually be less time than that. And with that extra funds, they could pursue more so the essence of growing, getting more salesmen, and continuing to grow. It's important to recognize that the customer acquisition cost is significantly less than the customer lifetime value, which, because of this, makes their company highly attractive, and that explains a bit why the venture capitalist is pursuing them, offering them more money. Yes, they could wait right now and possibly have their value go up significantly in the future. But it also seems like a rather large offer at this time, and that makes it appealing. So for those reasons, we believe that it would be wise for him to accept the $5 million, put a team in place that manages it appropriately so as to not grow too big too fast, but so as to have resources at their disposal when necessary. Sound good?
Yep. Sounds great.
Awesome.